Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're digging into a question that seems pretty simple on the surface. Can you really trust someone else's taste? It starts with a simple movie recommendation, but it turns out this has some seriously deep philosophical roots, deeper than you can possibly imagine. What you all see as just a simple question, well, from my perspective, it was a major turning point in history.
I mean, it's something we all do, right? We ask our friends for suggestions, we scroll through reviews. It's just how we figure out what's good. But what if I told you that the answer to that simple question could literally shape the future of human culture? Oh, it did shape the future. You have absolutely no idea how important this whole debate was. This moment right here, this is where everything started to branch off. That's why I'm here. I need to debrief you on that exact pivotal moment. See, this debate about what they called aesthetic testimony, it wasn't just some dusty academic argument. It went on to define entire cultural movements. If only they had known. Okay, let's get into it. So here's our plan. We'll start with the question from the future. Then we'll look at the two big opposing camps, the pessimists and the optimists. After that, we'll unpack why they say no, what the real stakes are here, and finally, the choice this whole thing forces on us, a choice you're already making, by the way. It all started pretty small, way back in 1790 with philosophers like Immanuel Kant. And for centuries, it was just this niche idea. But then, in the 1980s, it got formalized. And then, the internet came along in the early 2000s, and the whole thing just exploded. This old, dusty philosophical debate suddenly became the blueprint for your entire connected world. All right, so let's start with the first big faction in this whole debate. They're called the pessimists, and their core belief is pretty straightforward. You simply can't, or maybe more importantly, you shouldn't, form your own judgments about art based on what other people tell you. And this is a quote from their big intellectual founder, Immanuel Kant. You have to understand, he and his followers, they were trying to protect something they believed was absolutely essential. That is, the individual's own direct experience with art. They sensed it was under threat. They just had no idea what a massive battle was about to become. So, the absolute core of their argument got a name, the acquaintance principle. And the key idea is actually really simple. To make a genuine judgment about the value of something, you have to see it, hear it, or experience it firsthand, for yourself. You just can't outsource that job. But of course, not everyone was on board with this idea of art being a totally solitary thing. A second group emerged with a completely different vision, the optimists. For them, taste wasn't just a personal journey. It was more like a social fabric that connects us all. And the optimist argument is pretty intuitive when you think about it. They basically said, look, we trust experts and our friends for advice on everything else, right? From science to where to get dinner. So why should art be any different? For them, taste wasn't this private, non-transferable thing. It could absolutely be shared and trusted. Yeah. Their whole vision was about building bridges, creating a shared culture on a scale nobody had ever seen before. What they proposed? It was beautiful. And from where I'm standing now, it was also incredibly dangerous. They just never stopped to consider the real cost of that much consensus. Okay, so let's dig a little deeper into the pessimist side of things. Why were they so completely insistent on this first-hand experience rule? Well, it turns out their big no wasn't just one single idea. It actually split into two very distinct, very different concerns. And this is the exact point where the conflict truly ignited. It stopped being some polite philosophical debate and turned into an all-out fight for the very soul of culture. So this table here breaks down that split really well. On one side, you've got what they call unavailability pessimism. And that's the belief that aesthetic knowledge is just impossible to get from somebody else. But then, on the other side, you have unusability pessimism. These guys might actually admit that, okay, maybe you can get the knowledge, but they argue that you shouldn't use it because doing that violates other really important values. And this something else, these other values, that's where this whole debate gets really, really personal. It's about the deep down values we all attach to how we experience art. So the unusability camp says that when you rely on someone else's taste, you're violating these crucial values like your own autonomy and authenticity. Their best analogy is this. It's like a marathon runner who decides to take a taxi to the finish line. I mean, sure, you get there, but you've completely defeated the entire purpose of the journey, haven't you? And the consequences?
They were profound. The moment people accepted that taste could be outsourced, well, the systems built to manage that taste became unbelievably powerful. If only they had truly understood what that would mean for individuality.
So you see, this old philosophical debate isn't just some academic exercise. It actually frames every single cultural choice we make today. Everything from trusting a movie critic to following an influencer on social media.
Our debrief is almost finished. The future I've seen, it isn't set in stone. It's being forged right now in all of these small, everyday decisions that you make. And you have to remember, you are not a passive observer in any of this.
Is it yours or is it the network's? Think very, very carefully.